Hi, this is Ben from Boss Construction, your South Florida Permitting and Code Compliance Specialist. I'm here today with a very special interview, a good mentor of mine, an excellent home inspector. I'm here with Atlantic Building Inspections. I'm here with Carlos Gonzales and Miguel Chirino. We're here to talk about, just have a general conversation because we're in very similar and related industries.
Yes.
And talk about a little about what we do.
Thank you, Ben, for having us. Like Ben introduced us, Carlos Gonzales, Miguel Chirino, Atlantic Building Inspections, and I can see you have a lot of questions for me today.
Whoa!
So let's get started.
I couldn't prepare enough.
Let's have some fun.
Yeah. So again, I work hand in hand with home inspectors and agents. How did you guys get into? I'm going to fast forward a little bit. How did you guys get to be a large home inspection company who has amazing level of service and quality control? Because I've seen a lot of owner operators, and then I've seen some other large home inspection companies who every time an agent gets put together with them, they don't know what they're going to get, or they don't know what product or result they have.
Well, I'll answer your question, and I'll start by backing up a little bit. First of all, we grew the company organically, which is important to understand. It's not like we bought a company that had 6, 7, 8, 10 inspectors already. So the company started in 1999, late 99, early 2000, and I started basically by myself, running around with a cell phone. And little by little, I realized one day that if I continued to run my company that way, I would never have, a vacation or a life or anything like that. So eventually I said, well, we've got to start building a team. And so once we started building a team, as you know, some problems start arising, and then you start building systems that allow you to grow organically and properly. So quality control, training and hiring, HR systems, all kinds of systems that little by little we've put in place to make sure that we are satisfying the customer and doing things the right way.
Mm-hmm. And both of your backgrounds are home inspectors, right? That's what you were, Miguel, as well?
Well, my background actually is in insurance and financial services. I worked in the insurance industry for over 10 years. It's kind of funny the way that I met Carlos, because he actually came into the office marketing his business, and I would always have to order those wind mitigations for the insurance purposes. And I kind of just started picking his brains, like, hey, what does it take to get one of these wind mitigations done? It sounds like an interesting career, interesting job.
Cool.
And he's like, sure, come on over, we'll show you the ropes. And little do you know it, a few years later, it wasn't about wind mitigations, it was about full home inspections and really learning the core systems of a property, the roof, the plumbing, the electrical, the AC, the structure, much more than I had anticipated. But it was very interesting, very
It's been a fun ride so far.
It has been a ride.
And what I learned from going to Internashi and I'm not a home inspector, but from going other places, is that you have to use your senses when you inspect a home. Have you ever heard that?
Yeah.
Like what you smell, your eyes, your ears, things you're going on visually, and document that, right?
Yeah. Actually, that's interesting that you bring that up. A lot of people don't think about those things, but
Your senses.
But yeah, the senses are extremely important when you're doing a home inspection. For sure.
And also something that you've taught me, Carlos, is, again, because your experience with agents is to educate and be very detailed.
I believe that the key to all of our industries, and as they tie in together, is education, right? The more we are in the know, the better. For example, if a real estate agent is understanding the process of the home inspection, what happens first, second, last, they can easily then set the expectations for their client. Mm-hmm. When you set the expectations for your client and they get exactly what they were expecting to get, you're going to get a satisfied client. Mm-hmm. However, if you're not educated and you have no idea what the process is, and you don't put your client in a position where he or she understands what they are supposed to be getting, you're setting yourself up for failure. So I think education is extremely important, especially with what you do. I mean, and a lot of people don't really think that far ahead, like with what you do, which is fantastic.
Yeah, more along the line of, permit resolution, and more along the line of owner rep solutions, like similar to deficiencies on a house, which is what home inspection does. I find that agents, like we discussed, they're learning because of the lien search and when it's pulled. And we've partnered up with Reliable Lien Search to provide agents with a level of service to give sellers information, or sellers alone. You know, you own a property, you're going to sell your property. Not only do you want to know about the deficiencies of the property, you want to know his deficiencies that wouldn't come up in a home inspection. And I know you guys use BuildFacts, and that's an added value for your clients, which many home inspection companies do not use. But the problem we have mainly in South Florida is all these local building departments, they've, over the course of 10 years, they've changed databases 3 times. I worked in Weston, I could say it myself. When I had to do permit searches for the city, I was checking Excel spreadsheets from 10 years back with information that wasn't put into public databases. So I deal with a lot of public information that the municipalities charge for, that this is mainly an issue in South Florida, and educating. So we try and educate agents and property owners, how to identify these issues, because we were talking before, you have your normal inspection period, and then if you get your lien search outside of that, you have to go back to the negotiation table twice.
Yeah, no, that's not going to work.
Nobody, I don't think really anybody, I don't think any agent or real estate professional or property owner wants to handle that. So, we're here to help them, navigate through those waters. Yeah, and it's a lot of fun. And the thing that I think is so cool with home inspections, and you do commercial and residential, yes. Every case is different, but with the cities, they're always changing their, like local governments are notorious for changing their processes, changing the ways that they're gonna, resolve issues. I was even in Hollywood, which was really interesting, and we were doing a pre-40-year building inspection. Mm-hmm. So I was working with our engineer, Don Arpin, and I see most of the people who do 40-year building inspections are also the people who partner up with construction companies to do, so not only are they, so how could they be objective? Okay. And I think that brings us to, a really interesting topic, because we are both owners reps, and we have to be objective.
Absolutely, being objective is extremely important. I'll tell you one of the things that I think, for example, real estate agents ask me all the time, does my client need to pull a permit to redo the bathroom? Well, the answer is always, it depends on the municipality.
Sure.
Every municipality is different. There's so much to juggle, and there's so much going on. It's hard to just give one answer to an agent that way,
Yeah, unpermitted stuff. Obviously we find out about liens, expired permits and code enforcement issues. So and every resolution is different. I was in Riviera Beach the other day, and they didn't have an open permit. They didn't have a code enforcement violation. The building department had a red flag on the account. So when the new owner went to pull a roof permit, it was pretty interesting. They wouldn't release their roofing permit. They wouldn't issue the permit after it was applied for, because they had a red flag for kitchen and bathroom renovations in a single family house. So this didn't come up on the lien search. So again, we really do everything that we can to mitigate these issues, because nobody wants surprises.
I see you haven't written anything down.
No, I haven't written it. And I'm just, I have so much fun with colleagues in my profession and in my field. I enjoy calling Carlos and Miguel all the time for people who need, really good home inspections.
I really, really do appreciate that. I know Miguel appreciates that as well. One of the things that I think is extremely important that the agents out there understand and know is that we're working together with you. We're not, our job isn't to kill your deal. Our job isn't to go in there and scare people unnecessarily. It's important that agents understand that. For years there's been a very difficult relationship between agents and home inspectors. Mm-hmm. We're called the deal assassins, the contract killers. We're called these things. Mm-hmm. And the truth is that we're not trained, on the psychology of the deal. We're not. We're trained on, this doesn't work, or this has a deficiency, or this needs to be replaced or repaired. And so we rarely get any training, if any at all, about how hard the agent works to get to the point where they got to the inspection itself.
Well, how much they've invested in the property and how much time, and that's really important. You know, I know we were going to do a really cool class in the future. We'll schedule it for the first quarter next year on listing properties. So when an agent lists a property, I see all types of things in the broker's remarks. I do education with the boards. They write different zoning verifications, like you could put 9 units where 4 units were, or an agent takes a picture of a bedroom in a garage and puts in the broker's remarks. You know, again, and these are certain things that I've seen Carlos and Miguel, you call them, you have questions, even before the home inspection, you know, that's what they're there for.
Correct, and you brought up a great point about listing. So we're moving more and more, I think, in our industry to a consumer that's extremely intelligent and has a wealth of information at their fingertips. It's not like it used to be. You showed me a picture of the MLS earlier of what that was like. And
the Miami Beach Board of Realtors
it's
from 1966.
Completely changed. So, you know, I always think about, you know, as a listing agent, what can you do to get more listings? Every agent out there wants more listings. Every time you go to a meeting, they talk to you about more listings, let's get more listings. So here's something that I just like a golden nugget that I've been thinking about for a good amount of time. You're going to buy a used car, right? Let's say you were going to buy a used BMW.
Sure.
Right? Okay, so where would you go? I'd go to the BMW dealer where it says pre-certified, pre-inspected BMW.
The place that has the most recognition.
And so what is that going to do for you? It's going to give you a certain level of comfort, right? You're going to say, well, wait a minute. BMW checked the engine, checked the car, checked the mechanics, and it's in good shape, and they're going to give me a warranty and this and that. So why not a pre-certified, pre-inspected home? Which, by the way, would be a very marketable thing if you think about it. Think about it like this, right? So you have a home, you're listing the home, correct? You do a lien search.
Sure.
You find out what's going on. You do a home inspection, a pre-listing inspection with us. You find out what's going on. You come up with 5 repairs. Seller says, I'll do 3 of them. I won't do 2 of them, but we'll get some prices for the other 2. We'll put them on the table.
You know about the deficiencies.
We'll put them on the table.
Yeah.
We're also going to get an insurance quote, and we're going to put it on the table, and we're going to put all this information right there. And so when the buyer or potential buyer comes in, what's on the table? Everything.
Yeah.
There's no negotiating.
Yeah.
This is what it is. This is everything right here for you. So we do that. We work
That's
on
awesome.
pre-listing inspections. And
That's
I think
awesome.
that there's a real good way of marketing a property that is pre-inspected, pre-certified, already lien searched, you already know if there is an open permit, Ben can jump right on that.
Yeah.
I mean, why wouldn't you take that path in today's world where there's so much information out there? They're going to find out anyway.
Yeah.
So you might as well put it right in front of them. I mean, that's my personal opinion. I don't know what you feel about that.
Well, I mean, that is an amazing idea and concept. My background is more of as a city inspector, and we talk about some of the commonalities between building inspectors and home inspectors,
Right.
or a private sector. So, but you know, I think through public and private partnerships, you know, we can go ahead and best represent, you know, sellers and property owners and real estate professionals. So I mean, that's really phenomenal. You know, and I never knew. I never saw so many home inspectors in the building department, but what I did see a lot of was realtors. Never understood why they were there. Always wanted to focus on solving the issue, giving their client the best level of service. But again, you know, when it involves you know, any type of building deficiencies or code enforcement violations, a lot of the times, you know, we don't know the resolution until we look at it firsthand and document it and do our research.
Right.
So it's really phenomenal, and I always like to assist real estate professionals. Keep the liability off the brokerage. Make sure the seller of the property is represented the best. I want to ask you one question.
Yes.
When I say something, what comes to your mind? Reoccupancy inspections. Have you ever heard of those?
Well, let Miguel take this one.
Miguel, what's up with that?
The reoccupancy inspection. Actually, Carlos.
There you go.
We're switching on it.
It's on.
Okay, testing. Honestly, we haven't really done too many reoccupancy inspections.
You do home inspections.
Yeah.
Reoccupancy inspections are
That was a trick
in a lot of areas in Miami-Dade County. A lot of these municipalities with older housing stock, they're looking for 3-bedroom, 2 bathrooms. They're looking for in the property appraiser when bed and bath counts don't match up, or some of the cities are even looking for water heaters and air conditioners that were done without a permit. So what a lot of sellers within these cities, Hialeah Gardens, Hialeah, Miami Gardens, North Miami, Biscayne Park, Miami Shores, the cities like to copy each other. So they like to say, hey, you know what? This city over here created a really good ordinance and rule. We think it could help our residents here. It's a very controversial issue, and that's why I brought it up. Not that you guys deal with those things.
Right, that's why it kind of threw me off a little bit.
This is where the city's coming in the property to inspect prior to sale.
Right.
So they're looking for deficiencies. They used to look for bed and bath counts and threeplexes that are duplexes and vice versa. So things that are different in the field from what it says on the property appraiser. Then we found them looking for really erroneous things.
While they're in there.
We found them.
Well, they're there, right?
Yeah.
So you're opening the door to that.
So you know, where I think that ties kind of into the home inspection is if you follow your home inspection correctly, again, before the reoccupancy inspector comes out, you're not going to want to see that loose wire hanging from the wall or that outlet. And that brings me to deficiencies. From your experience, it's much easier to correct these deficiencies than when the seller brings them to you.
So let me just get this right. I just want to make sure I got your question right. In a listing situation,
Sure.
right? So there's a seller, and what you're asking is if we come in and do a home inspection as a pre-listing situation, and we uncover certain deficiencies.
Sure.
Now the seller has put himself in a great position because he's not going through the reoccupancy, but we are giving him this information which he can get ahead of that city inspection.
Sure.
Get these things resolved.
Sure.
So that there is no roadblock.
Yeah.
Yeah, you hit it on the head.
No, Miami-Dade.
That's exactly one of the biggest points of doing a
that's
pre-listing.
that's what we're seeing everywhere in Miami-Dade County right now, and I know you guys.
And that's where you come in also. I know I've had several clients that I've referred over to you that had some permit concerns.
They're, you know, very interestingly, the permit concerns are, you know, every resolution is different, and sometimes, you know, we like to demolish it. If we see a screen enclosure that's done without a permit and it's okay with the buyer and seller, again, every time the resolution is different depending on the situation. And it's been really, really fun, you know, figuring out things. And I think of it as an exercise, kind of like you guys do as home inspectors, because I'm not looking to sell a driveway. I'm not looking to sell an air condition. I'm looking to find out the easiest way to fix a deficiency. Right. So, for example, if certain things can be tweaked and we can work with what's existing, that's fine, because your sellers are always in a hardship situation when these come up. But given being proactive, you know, that alleviates some of the hardship, meaning last minute, you know?
So just to be clear, and so that the agents out there are understanding, what you're saying is that you'll go into a property and you'll find the cheapest, quickest way to solve the problem.
Sure.
So that the deal can move forward.
Sure. So, for example, if we have to secure a pool, we use a baby fence. And I'm an owner's rep, and for example, if the property owner is an electrician or they know a baby fence person in their family, I'm here to give them information how to get past that landscaping inspection in Coral Springs. You know, how to handle these issues, preferably before, you know, the city has to come out or even the permit's renewed, because what I do know, and we've talked about this, Carlos, is people don't like being piecemealed. No. People like encapsulated issues, especially agents working with sellers where they do have deficiencies on their property.
Yes.
And that's incredible. And where do you guys do most of your education?
Wow, that's a great question.
Because you've been educating people back when I was in middle school about home inspections.
God, Ben, how
But you
old
look,
am I?
But you look so great.
My God, he just aged me. Okay.
No way.
Yeah, I just turned 80.
Okay. No,
last
stop,
week.
stop. But but you're more active than I am.
I have been. I took a turn in education. Probably, I would say, Miguel, what, like 6 years ago, 7 years ago, where I really started focusing my time and my energy on working with the real estate community and really teaching them everything that I know in the hopes that I could learn everything that they know. Because see, it's not just education. Education is not one-sided. Education is two-sided. Mm-hmm. So if I'm open enough to learn from someone and that person's open enough to learn from me, now we have the right rhythm. A lot of people think they go somewhere, they go to a classroom, they sit down and they get educated. No, it's about educating each other, because a real estate agent has a very different view of a deal than you do and than I do, because our industries are very different. But why is it that we have to work against each other? That's not the point. The point here is to work together. So how long have I been educating? I have been teaching classes about the home inspection process probably for the last 7-8 years straight. Wow. And that's, I think I spend more time doing that than anything else.
And we actually met at Moretti's open house, and we met a couple times before then because we were educating agents.
Yes, absolutely.
That's awesome.
And someone mentioned your name and mentioned what you do, and I said, wow, I want to learn about that. I want to know why. I want to know how I can incorporate Ben and refer him to agents who can use you to get their deals closed. Because I think the value is, right, in helping people get what they want, right? So first you got to figure out, what do people want? It's like the old Zig Ziglar, right? You can get everything you want in life as long as you help others get what they want. But what is it that agents want? No, do you know?
Agents want answers, solutions. They want to have a good toolbox where whatever they encounter, whether it's a title company, whether it's an insurance underwriter, whether it's knowing, so they want to know when they have an issue, who they can go to, who they can depend and rely on. That's what I think.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think I'm going to sum it up in a couple of words for you. Agents want to close their deals.
Yeah, close deals.
That's it. So at the end of the day, what you're saying is, hey, this guy can help me close my deal. And he's on my team. Yeah. And see, that's the idea, right? Is to be on each other's teams so that we can help each other, obviously doing things the right way, never hiding anything, doing things ethically, doing things correctly, but keeping in mind that we're all trying to get to the same result. We're all trying to get to the same place.
What do you think, and I know we've focused a lot on education, what do you think about getting education on video? What do you think about agents doing video at their property? Some of your experience or what you've seen with social media?
Well, honestly, I believe, and I'm going to let Miguel chime in on this as well, but I believe and that video has pretty much taken over. I was at a meeting the other day and they said, oh, you need to do a video bio. I'm like, a biography? I have my biography on my website. But no, you should do a video biography. So everything is really leaning towards video. And I think that people are engaging in video way more than on a website or clicking, and reading about somebody. Nobody seems to read anymore. What do you think, Miguel, about videos?
Well, I'm definitely making a more active approach to reading, because there's so much to learn out there, and you really want to become as educated as possible. Which is why I've done so many things throughout my career. I'm always interested in learning more and more. But as far as the video, I'm just really feeding off of what I'm seeing out there, and it is more engaging. You'll go on Facebook, you'll see a video. It's been seen and liked a million times, whereas a photo of the same thing or same content, it's 100 times. So that goes to show you that it's definitely more engaging.
No, but there's testimonials, there's interviews and things that we're doing. I know that people want to see examples in the field. People want to see exactly the deficiencies that we're talking about. They want to see what the resolution to those deficiencies are. They want to see how to work through the problems. So that's been, I mean, I've seen you guys. It's worked for me. As I do education with real estate professionals, I also try and encourage them to get on video because people.
Carlos actually told me, he was at a meeting the other day, and he was approached by someone who actually saw him on video many, many years ago. Carlos has always been very technologically inclined, and he's kind of geared or driven the company in that direction. So that was pretty interesting to see.
Yeah.
And that's how he educates a lot of his inspectors also. Because
I was sorry to interrupt. I was at inspection meetings at Duffy's, and I was just looking at how education was a main foundation of your company, and how you were educating your inspectors in the process, and making that process smoother, and the transitions.
Absolutely, there's a lot of things that change out there, and you all want to keep everybody up to date. So the inspector meeting is actually very important to have.
How often do you guys meet?
At least once a month.
That's phenomenal.
But we're always in contact throughout the week, throughout the day, on different media platforms, between internal intranets. That's key to running a smooth ship, I think.
Yeah, one of the things that I think we do very differently is we take the time to, throughout the month, before we have that meeting, we're collecting information. Well, this happened in this situation, and that happened in that situation. So when we do come together as a team, we stop and we say, hey, this is what took place. How was it handled? Could it have been handled better? What could the inspector have done or said? Why do we do that is because I think it's extremely important. We owe it to the buyer, to the buyer's agent, to the seller's agent. We owe it to the other professionals to be at that level.
No, I mean, like again, and things vary between properties, whether it's commercial or tenant occupied. Whether it's tenant or owner occupied, whether it's commercial or residential. Got those two ideas crossed. And no, we're constantly working with a lot of people and facilitating a process. What is the biggest thing that you've seen lately? The most common trend, whether it be mechanical. It's so nice because I know I could talk technical with you guys. Mechanical, electrical, plumbing. On a single-family residential, what is the most common deficiency that you guys have seen lately?
Well, one of the most common ones that we've seen forever is the lack of electrical system grounding.
Okay.
And what happens is if it's not grounded, then the 4-point inspection suffers, and then you can't get insurance, and then
I've seen. I was just in Coral Springs. I saw a generator that wasn't grounded. I saw pool equipment that wasn't grounded. On a separate property.
Right. That's extremely popular, and it's because the grounding rules have changed over the years, right? So years ago, you didn't really ground anything, and then when you did start grounding, it was to a water pipe, and then they added a ground rod, and then they added another ground rod, and then so the thing has changed so many times that a home that was built in 1950 is not going to have today's modern, technology of grounding. So we have to call those out, and we really dislike calling those out because I know, but it creates this thing.
No, but in single family properties, it's very interesting because sometimes buyers are looking for updated properties. Most people in single family properties, they don't know this. They can pull an owner builder's permit if it's the property's homesteaded and it's under $70,000.
Yeah, that's
and they end up renovating their kitchen or bathrooms, without a permit. They call me in and I say, well, you need to add a couple electrical outlets. The circuit with the stove and the cooktop, and the stove has to be protected.
Right.
So those are. I went to a property yesterday and I saw the home inspector, and this was on an outside panel. He put on the panel backwards.
The cover of the panel.
The cover of the panel. So I saw blanks, and I'm like, wait. Those blanks should have plastic things. No, and most of the properties that I'm dealing with, they're already under contract.
Right.
They've already been home inspected, and so I'm seeing just all these common mistakes in the industry. I don't know who people are using or what they're doing, but they better be using a good home inspection company, and that's really important to me. Due diligence and knowing deficiencies. Those are things that we focused on. From my municipal background, a long time in the city. You don't want to go to 3 different people and find more deficiencies and less deficiencies. You need consistency. Yeah.
Yeah. It's extremely important that the findings are consistent.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right about that, because that back and forth creates a situation where then people, they can't trust you.
Yeah.
And then they're wondering, well, if Ben didn't see that,
Yeah.
what else didn't Ben see?
Yeah.
Or if Carlos didn't see this, then what was he doing what was he daydreaming, or what was going
Do
on?
you guys
It's hard,
focus,
yeah.
like, for example, you know about the Florida Pool Safety Barrier Act, for example, after 2000.
Yeah.
Do you check for that stuff in home inspections?
100% yes.
So,
Yes.
for example, you check to make sure the pool's secured.
Self-closing gates.
So again, with being a home inspector and knowing building code, those things overlap very clearly.
Yes, I just want to be clear that a home inspection does not include code inspections.
Okay.
However,
But there
obviously-
is some overlap.
Obviously, of course, especially when it comes to safety, right? So a lot of times we're in an inspection and the inspector will say, well, this is a deficiency, it's unsafe. And the agent or the buyer or the seller or someone will say, oh, so that's a code, violation. No, we didn't say that. We said this is a safety issue, but they're probably right.
Yeah,
It's
correct.
probably a code
Correct.
violation.
Correct.
However, we're not there to say that's a code violation. We are there to protect life.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, if we see something that could hurt somebody or possibly kill
So if
somebody,
you see like,
we're going to put it on the
so
report.
for example, if you see like, because I know a lot of people are like, after their pool was built after 2000, they're like, we don't like these window alarms.
Oh, and they remove them.
And
we
they
see that all the
remove
time.
them.
We see that all the time.
And I mean, I have a 5-year-old and I have a 2-year-old, and you have children, and it's.
Of course. No, interestingly enough that you
Do you
bring
have
that
kids?
No, I don't have kids.
Oh, okay.
I have nephews,
No.
nieces, and I know people with kids.
Are there any of his kids out there?
We don't know.
Swung here, yeah.
Yeah. Well, interesting that you say that.
I don't want to
There
hear.
is
Yeah.
There is a bill in the state legislature right now talking about pool safety and requiring a pool certificate, a pool inspection for every sale of a home when it transfers from seller to buyer. So if that does pass, that's going to be a requirement.
And I
coming
know
up.
they have that for commercial pools are highly regulated,
Yeah,
like
oh, yes.
like in hotels
High
and
liability.
I mean, but these are the so basically I know the code requirements. You know, for example, a pool after the year 2000 or the Pool Safety Barrier Act needs to have a means of protection.
Right.
So it's like a 4-foot self-closing, self-latching gate, screen enclosure, baby fence. They even have this mesh cargo thing that
That you
they
could
were
put over the
using.
pool.
They were using on REO property
Yeah,
preservation
they were.
companies.
Yeah, they were. They were using that a lot. And not only does the gate have to be self-closing and self-latching, but the latch has to be at a certain height. It has
Yeah.
to be a certain style.
Yeah.
There's a
No,
little bit of detail to
no,
that.
and you know, I was at a house in Miramar in Silver Lakes, and while the gate was 48 inches, the latch wasn't 54.
Right.
So again, that was something where we had to, you know, to close out that pool permit.
Make some modifications.
Yeah, and while they were easy modifications, closing was 2 days away.
Yeah.
And we're lucky with we have a lot of threshold inspections with what we do. So for example, before you put on shower tiling, they need to see the underlayment.
Right.
Before you close the wall, they need to do a rough electrical inspection.
yeah.
So all these, I don't have, and so you guys check for mold, and you guys check for termites.
Right. So I'm glad you brought that up. So mold, we look for signs of mold. No one, if anyone ever tells you, by the way, there's mold on that wall, that's incorrect, because mold is not detectable by the human eye. So I can say there's signs of mold on that wall, but I have to take an analysis and I have to send it to a laboratory for microscopic, analysis, because there's no way for me to actually tell, hey, there's mold on that wall.
Yeah.
That doesn't exist. Okay. So termite. In Florida, you have to have a license from the Department of Agriculture to do a WDO inspection, which is a termite inspection. Home inspectors don't have that license because you have to work directly for a termite company. So we do bring out a licensed WDO inspector to do that part of it.
Wood
But we do it
destroying
together.
organism.
You got it right.
All right,
Yeah.
that's cool. Some of our, so if you guys want, you guys can feel free to ask us any questions or call us at any time. And both of our companies, we're educational focused. So anyone who wants us to come and do any education for agents, needs us to be a resource for their homes.
Yes.
If anyone really appreciates, again, these guys are Atlantic Building Inspections. We're Boss Construction Group. Anytime you need anything, and if you like this content, continue to follow, because while this interview is close to 30 minutes, what we do post is a lot of 3-minute videos in the field. So for example, once something resolved itself or a deficiency, and you at home or you in the field or in your office might be looking at a very similar thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can learn something in 2 or 3 minutes.
It's awesome. And again, I've gone, you know, and a lot of these problems that we discussed today, we're finding these are local things that we're finding in older housing stock. You know, for example, there's some newer housing stock in West Miramar that every pool, GL Builders left the pool open. So again, these are all local issues, and we're local. Are you from here?
Yeah, I'm from down south in Miami.
So we're all pretty much local people.
Oh, yeah.
We're here to stay and help everyone navigate through the waters. Yes. We're very excited to be here today with Carlos and Atlantic Building Inspections, and over here with Miguel. Do you guys have any last minute words?
Well, I can see Ben learned a lot today.
I did.
He made vigorous notes, and
Yeah.
so he's going to be studying these tonight.
I will. You know, what I'm actually going to do, and I know, I'm shifting a little. What I'm actually going to do is, I think, what I'm going to, I know I repeated myself. Actually, what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to do a video at one of Carlos's home inspections or commercial property inspections.
That would be fantastic.
Because I want to see, as a home inspector, what you guys are doing in the field.
Yeah,
and
that would be fantastic.
And I want to see
one of the things that I was going to say in closing is that, yes, Ben hit the nail on the head. We are 100% about education. We are 100% interested in going out to your offices and sharing our information with your agents, with your team, with anyone on your team really that can help you succeed. Because we all succeed if we work together and we educate one another. Something you mentioned about a home inspection is that one of the things that we've done in the past, and it works very well. If you have, for example, an open house coming up or a broker's open, and you want us to come in and kind of do like a mock inspection and teach the other agents how an inspection is conducted and that type of thing. It's more of a hands-on, and it's more of a realistic learning platform.
That's awesome.
And it's pretty cool, and you know, I think everybody has a good time when we do it. I make people laugh.
You know what we're going to do? We're going to take people over to Internashi in Weston.
Okay.
We're going to take them to that inspection house, not to scare them, but just show them. And
the
maybe
House of Horrors.
The house. There's
even
one,
though he says we're not going to scare him, it's called the House of Horrors.
There's home inspectors do a lot of training there. I know there's one in Colorado that's opening. And
the original one is in Colorado. Actually, this one is the second one.
This is the new one, and it's in Weston.
Yeah,
and some way, Santiago and myself and I grew up in Weston, and we always end up going back there.
Yeah.
So keep in tune for that, and I appreciate ABI, Atlantic Building Inspections, coming out to here, Remax Integrity and Davey, our Office Boss Construction Group, to interview. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you
for having us.
Thank you.